Hey, Staten Island, what's going on? It's Tom Bavona reporting for the Staten Island Advance, bringing you another edition of Together SI Business Spotlight, where we place the spotlight on a member from the small business community on Staten Island. Today, we're very happy to have Chris Reyes join us. He is the owner of AthElite PD. Chris, how are you?
How are we doing, guys? Thanks for having me on, Todd, Mike.
Great to be talking to you here, Chris. Chris, let's dive right into people who might not know what AthElite PD is. Talk about the entire history and especially your history. You have quite the sports history here on Staten Island.
Yeah, I'm a proud Staten Islander. Grew up in New Springville. Moved to Tottenville. Started going to Tottenville High School when I was about 16 or 17 years old. Played Tottenville baseball for 3 years. My freshman year, I actually played at Moore Catholic for Nick Dosher. 3 years at Tottenville. Then went on to play at Brookdale Community College in Red Bank, New Jersey. Then went to play at the College of Staten Island for 2 years. Wanted to take a road into coaching, if that makes sense, and got a job at Long Island University in Brooklyn. Did that for 4 years. Got my strength coach certification there, and wanted to kind of like elaborate my horizons, if that made sense. I wanted to make a difference in the community, and that's where I started athlete player development. We started doing camps in around 2006 or 7. We do strength conditioning camps, baseball camps, coaches clinics, one-on-one sessions. From there, it really started to take off. Got some really good momentum in the community in the Northeast. Then partnered up with Team USA Baseball. USA Baseball is our national team, and then from there, really just brings us to where we are today, Todd. And I'm just grateful to still to be in the game, if that makes sense, because I know, and the game will filter you out very quickly.
We hope we can see baseball July 4th weekend, which would be great. Chris, let's get back to the business. How did this pandemic affect your business since we've been in quarantine now for a few months or so? How did you need to pivot what you do, how you provide your services to the members of Staten Island? What did this mean for you, and how did you adjust?
Well, it was interesting. The thing that we have in our business with our staff is the relationships between us and our players, right? We hold that dear to our heart. It's always been like that for 15 years. So to not see, little Johnny or the kid that lives in Queens or the kid that lives in New Springville on a weekly basis is tough to do. And we saw it firsthand because we got a lot of texts from parents like, Chris, we just miss you guys. Is there anything you guys do? Do you do something virtually, and do something through Zoom or FaceTime? And I had to think quick. I was in the process of building my virtual platform to reach further outside of New York City, if that makes sense. So I kind of had to speed that up a little bit, thanks to my friends over at Making Memories. They do like all the behind the scenes stuff. So we got that rolling. And at that point, I was like, wait, we're onto something here. And to be honest with you, Todd, there really was no adjustment. The only adjustment was not seeing the kids. But the way we structured our virtual setting was, there's music in the background. It's still interactive. These kids are really getting a workout in, both from a strength standpoint and from a baseball standpoint. So going back to the pivot, the only pivot was just missing our guys, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. So it's the physical in-person training. You can't, move his arm into position or set his feet physically. Obviously, you could walk him through it now, but it's just through a virtual setting, just like this, Chris.
Right.
What have been some of the issues players have seen at this point? Mainly, I'm thinking of, let's say, the senior in high school or the someone who senior in college who was just supposed to finish out their spring season, right? What do you say to those people who, those students, those athletes who are looking forward to this spring season and just trying to hang on, trying to hang in there and get through the summer?
It's a tricky question, man. You played at a high level. I played at a high level at Tottenville. We played in an extremely competitive setting. And I know for a fact, because I helped Coach Grippo out of Tottenville, that, these seniors were, they were ready, Todd. You played your senior year. That feeling of, this may be my last time. And, for a long time, that was always like a fear of mine, if that makes sense.
Right.
Imagine if I didn't know that this was my last day to play. And a lot of kids went through that. They're going through that. So I feel for those kids. the advice I can give them, to be honest with you, is um, it's tricky. It's a tricky
Yeah.
piece of advice. Keep moving forward, right? That's
Right.
been my message for years. Keep working. I get to have the luxury of working with a lot of talented kids. So who's going to go on to play in college, scholarships? Who's getting drafted? For those kids, you still have next year. But for the kids that this is their last day, what do you say to them? I don't even know if I have a message to that kid, to
Right.
be honest with you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely tricky. It's definitely tough to go through. How about for all athletes right now who are not in organized play? It doesn't matter what sport. What is your advice for athletes in general to stay fresh, to stay not relevant, but just to stay in shape and working out at home? What have you been advising your athletes?
Personally, we do a program, the Speed and Power program, which is like a winter off-season program for like predominantly baseball players and softball players, but we talk about movement patterns. So I actually have the luxury of taking all that equipment into my apartment, so it's been great. But if you don't have that type of equipment, you don't have that type of luxury of having that equipment, just run on and jump on things. Be kids. If you've never jumped a fence before, jump a fence. That takes strength in itself to just pick your leg up and jump over. Jump on curbs. Go for a run. Things that we did as a kid, Todd, right? And
Yeah,
like, stupid little things that you didn't even realize were creating the patterns that actually turned us into great athletes in high school, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
I would love to say, deadlift your mom's turkey that she's going to cook next week. But how many kids are actually going to do that, right?
right.
Go outside, jump a fence, chase your little brother down, do different movements where you're changing directions. That's the stuff I would tell kids to do right now. But I know one thing: sitting on your couch playing Fortnite all night is not what you need to do.
Correct. Right. Get out there and be active. Listen, there's a
Yeah,
time for that, but you can't be spending 8-10 hours a day doing that. Gotta
agree.
gotta stay out
Agree.
there and enjoy the nice weather that's coming, right?
Enjoy it, man. Yep.
And last question, Chris, what about the future for Athlete PD? What do you find is next for you and your brand and your small business, and how do you think you're going to do after this COVID-19 pandemic?
I think we're going to do better than we did. And the reason why I say that, I have a great team behind me of, my brother, my lawyers, everybody. We're all on the same page, heading down the same road, and that's just to help people. And for me personally, I think opening a training facility, my own personal spot, is the next phase, if that makes sense. We did a very good job of creating a sense of community in Staten Island, and in New York City and the region around us. I think for us is it's having all of our staff under one roof. If that makes sense.
Yes, of course. Yeah, excellent. And a shout out to Chad Reyes, our buddy over at Lions Pride. We spoke
Yes,
with him.
sir.
We spoke with him not too long ago. So, Chris, thank you so much for the time. Really glad to hear the positive vibes coming out from your camp there at Athlete PD. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
That was Chris Reyes joining us again from AthElite PD. Great information in regards to athletes staying in shape during this time and maybe not spending too much time on Fortnite 8-10 hours a day. At any rate, that was a great episode of Together SI, the Business Spotlight. We put the spotlight on someone from the small business community on Staten Island. My name is Todd Bavona, reporting for the Staten Island Event, and we'll see you next time.